Hello, namaste, and welcome to the one and only home affairs show, Ke Aaja Ghar Mai. Yes, Ke Aaja Ghar Mai is a daily live show जुन आउने गर्छ every Sunday to Friday 12:30 बजेदेखि 1:30 बजेसम्म live Kantipur TV HD मा र with new ideas, new topics and new things to discuss every day. I am your host Sagarika to give you company. र हामी यो शोमा we've always talked about so many different things related to home affairs. हामी धेरै यस्तो कुराकानी पनि गर्छौं about cooking, about food, about खानेकुराको पनि हामी कुराकानी गर्छौं. But there's one thing that I've always been fascinated about. There's one thing that I've always been confused about also actually, and that is chef र cook को बीचमा चाहिँ के फरक छ? Is it just a good cook can be a chef as well, or chef बन्नको लागि अरु पनि धेरै qualities हरु हुनुपर्छ, or के चाहिँदो रहेछ भनेर चाहिँ I've always been very curious to find out. And also another thing is whenever I go to hotels or restaurants, I always wonder कि एउटा यस्तो busy restaurant चलाउन, hotel चलाउन, kitchen मा चाहिँ what's going on, because when you look at them it feels like everybody is doing the same thing. Everybody, it looks like an assembly actually हुन्छ नि, सबैजनाले एउटै किसिमको केही गरिराख्नु भएको छ जस्तै देखिन्छ. But if you look very closely we can find that everybody, they have a specific purpose. They're doing something specific आफ्नै जुन यो teamwork मा चाहिँ केही गरिराख्नु भएको छ. And you know that again is a really beautiful sight to actually watch, to see a busy kitchen and how everything works there as well. So yes, I'm sure you've guessed कि आजको topic we are going to talk about a little bit of this खानेकुराको बारेमा, a little bit about you know, about being a chef, about what this hospitality industry is like and what is it like भन्ने बारेमा हामी कुराकानी गर्छौं. र आज मसँग एकजना एक्सपर्ट गेस्ट पनि यहाँ आइसक्नु भएको छ. सो यो हाम्रो गेस्ट को हुनुहुन्छ भन्ने बारेमा I'd like to keep it a little suspense. So let's have a look at his profile, at his video, and I'll introduce you to our guest today. Alright, so हाम्रो guest को हुनुहुन्छ भन्ने बारेमा सानो भिडियो चाहिँ यहाँले देखिन सक्नुभयो. With me today I have Chef Heinz Egli. So welcome to our show first of all, and welcome to Nepal as well.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
And it's a pleasure to have you here. Well, talking about you, Chef Heinz is also the founder president of Hong Kong Chefs Association. So yes, once more, welcome, and we're really looking forward to this episode to find out a lot of new things about you, about your work, about career and whatnot. So basically, like I said in the beginning of the show, I'm always a little confused about what it takes to be a chef. Is it only, you know, learning to cook a really good meal, or, you know, what is it? So what are the basic talents and skills you need to be a chef?
Well, one of the first things is, sure, you have to be very flexible, and you must be willing to work very hard. You also have to work on holidays, you have to work on Sundays, or here in Nepal it's a Saturday, you have to work. When your friends are on holidays, you have to work in the evening when your friends enjoy a night out. You'll be sweating in a hot kitchen and running around. So you need to be very hardworking, and you need to be different.
Okay, so that dedication is really required.
Yes.
Because like you said, when everybody is out there, you know, doing their things with their family and friends, they're going out, you have to be actually working and, you know, really making other people happy, if I can say so. All right, so talking about you, when did you decide, or when did you want to be a chef? Why did you choose this, or, you know, how long was it ago?
Well, that's about 45 years ago, I would
45?
say. Yes, I'm 45 years in business. And well, why do I choose to become a chef? Maybe in one way I was not very talented in mechanical. I was not, so I had to find something where I was talented and something what I liked. And I found out that making people happy with my little cooking skills what I had that was most probably something I could
so
develop.
were you like a really good, you know, good with food and with kitchen before you became a chef?
Not really, not
no?
really. I had to learn it. I had to learn it, but I had to work some. I could not sit in the office with a tie on and taking orders. I needed to have some actions, and I needed to have a little bit excitement in my life. So I was not meant to be working in a bank or in an office. That was not a life for me.
All right. So you did not want to be confined in four walls in an office.
No, absolutely not.
You know, and you said that it was 45 years ago. So you know, at that time, how did people take it, or how was people's reaction when you said that you wanted to be a chef? You know, were they very positive about it, or were there some questions raised, or what was it like?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Actually, my father said, "You will never be a chef. You are not hardworking enough." And I wanted to prove him wrong, because we know already that time that chefs have to work harder than many other jobs. So I wanted to prove my father that he is wrong, and. Well, I think I made it, and I made my father proud in this. And yeah, that's. We also have to say it was not a very glamorous profession 45 years ago. The other way around, it was actually at the lower end of the jobs. Everybody wanted to work in office and marketing, and we as chefs we were not that glamorous. That only changed lately, since a few years when all the celebrity chefs came. Our status has finally come to let's say to something where we actually belong to. We are a little bit more accepted, and we have more people, also more youngsters who are interested now to become a chef, because they see, well, this guy can make it, and this guy can see something from the world, and he also drives a nice car, and
so there's a good life.
Yeah,
right?
well, not a good life, but maybe it has potential for an interesting life. Okay.
So like you said, you know, in your initial phase, you also had to learn a lot while, you know, learning the skills and everything. You had to go through some, you know, classes and trainings and everything. But can you explain how this, you know, learning by doing system works? Is it like the more you do your work, I mean, that's how you learn? Or what is it like, learning by doing system?
Okay. First, where I come from in Switzerland, we go through an apprenticeship, and that goes for 3 years. And in the English language, my job is called the chef. In where I come from, the chef there's only one chef in the kitchen, and that's the top guy. We are cooks. We are only cooks. And the first 3 years, you're not even a cook. You're only an apprentice. And when you do the school, when you come out of the school, many youngsters have the feeling now, oh, I made the school, I have done it now. That's wrong. Then life only starts. After the school, after you graduate, then life starts.
That is the beginning, like the real one.
Then life starts, and then you have to start making your way up. The 3 years apprenticeship, that gives you the basic, and where you really do everything from dishwashing to chopping onions. The first 3, 4, 5 months, I only chopped onions, chopped parsley, cleaned the stove, cleaned the ovens, all this basic what many people are actually afraid of or think it's not necessary. That's what I learned the first 3 years, and that later helped me to become a proper chef. And that makes also the difference between somebody who's has made a school and somebody who has only learned the trade by in a quick way. So we have a much better foundation because I know everything. I know what the pot washer has to do. I know what the man behind the scene have to do. So basically, you've started from the basic, the basic foundation, and now you've maybe climbed your way up, and now you're here as also the president as well of Hong Kong Chefs Foundation. So what made you, decide to work in Hong Kong? Like, why Hong Kong? As I mentioned it before, chefs or cook profession in Switzerland, where I come from, at the time was at the very lower end of the society. And we were also, it was known that Swiss chefs were famous abroad. And so that has a reason why Swiss chefs were famous abroad, because we cook a little bit of everything. We are more flexible than many other nationalities who only stick to their national food, because we have 4 cultures in Switzerland. We cook Italian food, we cook French food, we cook German food, and so on. So make it short, there were already many Swiss chefs abroad, and I wanted to follow them, and I wanted to get away from a, let's call it, from a dull life. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to see new cultures. I wanted to. At that time, there was no internet. There was no, not even telephone calls what we could make. So also going to Hong Kong, it took me 40 hours the first flight, which you do now by 10 hours. And so by luck, I found a job in Hong Kong, because actually nobody wanted to hire me. I was much too young now, so nobody wanted to have a young...
So how long was it? I mean, like, how many years ago was it?
40 years ago. Almost 40 years ago. So you can imagine I was just a little bit over 20, and they wanted to have experienced chefs in Hong Kong. They wanted to have leaders with
a lot of experience there.
And especially
right?
China was famous for everybody who was a leader was an elder. And I was only 20 years old, 22 years old. So it was difficult to find that job, and I got the job through the back door somehow. And I told, we had a small farewell party with my family. And they told me, oh, you signed for 2 years, and in 2 years you're going to be away. Then I said, well, don't worry, I maybe can resign after 1 year and then come back. And now it's 40 years.
Yes, that is what you thought initially, you know, when you had a little bit of difficulty as well, I'm sure. You know, so that was like 40 years ago, if we remember.
Almost,
So what do you think has changed, even in Hong Kong, you know, over the period of time? So many years has, you know, passed by. So what has changed, do you think?
In the culinary scene, or especially my job, 40 years ago, there were only international hotels. There were no freestanding restaurants. They didn't exist. We only had these big hotels with... remember, we had a kitchen brigade of about 150 cooks. And when you wanted to go and eat international food, you went to a hotel. And that has changed now. Many freestanding restaurants have opened, and the hotels, they stayed a little bit behind. And the freestanding restaurants actually become much more creative and more fun to work, because they're much more flexible. And so this is definitely one of the big points which have changed, moving the whole culinary scene from 5-star hotel to freestanding restaurants.
It's definitely, even I think in Nepal also, you know, this is getting in a good way. It is growing. It is being really nice as well. Now, also talking about Hong Kong, like you said, you were in your early 20s. You were very young. You made a shift to Hong Kong, to new culture, new people, new environment. You were exploring as well. So, what was it like, if you want to go to the flashback, you know, 40 years ago?
Well, as I told you, they were looking for experienced guys, and you can imagine my chefs. They didn't have much respect from me when I arrived there. And a small story there, the chefs didn't, the cooks, they didn't look at me, they didn't listen what I was doing. And so I was almost bored, so I started to cut some fish. And I was very good in cutting fish, yes. And then the head chef, the local head chef, saw that. And he didn't like that.
He did not like it?
No, because he saw that I was very good. And then he came and wanted to work with me. And he had no chance, because I was much better than him. And then a week later, the fish came from Europe again. And I said, well, today I'm not cutting the fish. I go first for lunch. And when I came back from lunch, all the fish were cut. And the local chefs called all his helpers, take away the job from this guy. And since then, the ice was broken, and they had a lot of respect from me from that time on. So then they knew that I did something better, and they would never let me touch these things anymore because they didn't like that I was better than them.
All right, so I think that's a very interesting story as well. And
from then on, the respect was broken. So the respect was there, the ice was broken.
Ice was broken. So I'm sure you earned your respect,
yes,
by showing them your skills.
I had to. They would even now, even if I come here to Nepal, work in the school as a teacher, they want to know why I am here. And you have to show them that you know something, but they don't know what they can learn something from you.
So yes, you told us a very interesting story and about cutting as well, which we will be talking about after this break. Breakपछि हामी अझै पनि धेरै कुराकानी गर्न हाम्रो बाँकी नै छ. अहिलेको लागि let's take a short break and we will be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Ke Aaja Ghar Mai, and today we are in conversation with Chef Heinz from Hong Kong. So yes, once again, welcome back to our show. And before the show or before the break, we were talking about your first few years in Hong Kong when you where you were very new and you were also trying to fit in, kind of earn that respect and all that. So as a student, if I have to ask, if there's a student who goes to a culinary school, what are the first few lessons that he or she learns in the first few weeks? Like for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I'm sure there are a lot of, they don't just start with the food. I'm sure they teach you, a few things. So before earning a culinary certificate, what are the first few lessons that they get?
Discipline.
Oh, okay.
Discipline. Discipline is one of the first things what they will have to learn. Especially the youngsters, I can tell you, the first few days when they arrive, they come 5 past, 10 past, and we start on the hour. And the first few days, they were very shocked when my door was locked.
Okay. You did that in the first days as well,
yes.
first day?
Yes,
okay.
Because I told them that if you're late in a restaurant, your customers are not late. And they had to learn that right away, that discipline has to be one of the first things. Discipline, cleanliness, hygiene. This is one of the basic what everybody knows first, because hygiene very much. I always tell the students, if you cannot be clean on yourself, you cannot clean for somebody else. You cannot work for somebody else. If you don't respect yourself, you cannot respect somebody else. So this is one of the very, very first thing. Before we start cooking, we will have to learn how to work clean, how to keep a working place clean. It's a very uninteresting topics, which for me now as a very senior chef become very interesting and very topics which I will cooking. I just mentioned it to my students here at the school. How do you to a student? How do you impress a big chef? You go to a new restaurant. How do you want to impress the chef there? Then the students told me, "Oh, I'm cooking something very nice. I do this and that." No, you can. That guy already knows how to cook. You can only impress him by working clean or by showing up in time. Then the new boss will be impressed by you.
Yeah, I think that is, one really important lesson as well for not only for students, but I think for everyone who's, who wants to be a little professional in their work field as well. Now, before the break, we also mentioned about how you're so good in cutting and slicing and dicing. Now, I wouldn't know the difference, myself. I'm not really aware of all these cutting techniques and all that. But before, before a student turns into a perfect chef, how many cuts do they have to learn, or should they know, or how many cuts are there in general?
Well, first they need to know how to hold a knife.
Okay, yes, yes.
We give them first a knife, and there will be a few hours where we only teach them how to hold a knife.
So there is a technique to just hold a knife?
Oh yeah, of course. And there's a different knife for different cuts and a different knife for different products. You would not use the same knife for an onion than what you use for a tomato.
Okay.
So this is very important. So we have to tell them first, for each ingredient or almost each basic food item, you need to use a different knife. and each one you need to hold a little bit different, because in the end of the day you don't want to feel tired in your hand, and you want to get the maximum out of it. So when you go all this tack, 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 this, you need the proper tools first. It's like a mechanic. You cannot go with any screwdriver to any screw. You need the right size and then the right tool to do the right work. So cutting, of course, I always give them, my students, the most difficult one first, just to make them a little bit frustrated, to show them, oh, it's not that easy what I choose here. So I show them they have to make oval-shaped potatoes, and then sometimes, can I not do this? No, first you learn the hard way. Once you know the hard cuts, you can do the easier ones too.
Yeah, definitely can master the easy ones. And you know, I have a feeling that it is much more complicated than what I imagined it to be, because for me, you know, all the knives are the same. The cutting, slice, the dicing, slicing, everything for me is actually the same. But now I know, and now our audiences also know, that there are so many different ways you can actually cut the vegetables and cut the ingredients as well. And अहिले चाहिँ हामीसँग एउटा छोटो भिडियो छ about these cuttings and slicing तरकारीहरूलाई पनि, or anything that you have, any food ingredient that you have, त्यसलाई कसरी different ways मा कट गरेर घरैमा होटलको रेस्टुरेन्टको स्टाइलको फुड बनाउन सकिन्छ भन्ने बारेमा गेट कलेजको एकजना स्टुडेन्टले हामीलाई देखाउनु भएको छ. सो अहिलेको लागि लेट्स ह्याभ अ लुक.
नमस्ते, म एलिना राई. आज चाहिँ म तपाईहरुलाई डिफरेन्ट टाइप्सको कटिङ्सहरु सिकाउन गइरहेको छु, जुन चाहिँ तपाईहरुले सलाद बनाउँदा युज गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ. युजुअली हामीले बनाउने सलाड चाहिँ घरमा भनेको राउन्ड शेप एन्ड डायगोनल शेप हुन्छ, जुन चाहिँ बोरिङ हुन्छ. त्यसैले यसलाई हुन्छ नि त्यो सलाडलाई अलिकति एट्र्याक्टिभ र एक्साइटिङ बनाउनको लागि डिफरेन्ट टाइपको स्टाइल्स देखाउन गइरहेको छु, जसले गर्दा तपाईको सलाड चाहिँ अलिक एट्र्याक्टिभ र आई अपिलिङ हुन्छ. फर्स्ट कट चाहिँ म जुलियन गर्न गइरहेको छु, एन्ड टुडे आई एम गोइङ टु युज क्युकुम्बर. जुलियन चाहिँ 3 सेन्टिमिटरको हुन्छ, एन्ड इट्स लाइक म्याच स्टिक. तपाईले हुन्छ नि म्याच स्टिकको शेपमा काट्नुपर्छ, सानो सानो. सेकेन्ड कट चाहिँ ब्याटनेट छ हाम्रो. त्यसको लागि आई हेभ अलरेडी कट स्क्वायर शेप है. यसको लागि चाहिँ हाम्रो साइज भनेको 6 mm हुन्छ, एन्ड फर्स्ट लेट्स कट इट इन्टु 2 pieces, एन्ड हियर इज आवर ब्याटनेट. सो अर्को कटको लागि म चाहिँ काट्न गइरहेको छु प्यासुने. प्यासुनेको चाहिँ जियोमेट्रिकल शेप हुन्छ, त्यसैले आई हेभ अ स्क्वायर एन्ड ट्रायङ्गल, एन्ड आई हेभ दिस होल क्यारट. त्यसलाई चाहिँ म सेमी सर्कल बनाउन गइरहेको छु. अब चाहिँ हामी सिफानर कट गर्न गइरहेछौँ. यो चाहिँ सेम एज जुलियन लाइक म्याजस्टिक हो, तर यो चाहिँ लिफी भेजिटेबल्समा गरेको भएर नाम चाहिँ डिफ्रेन्ट हो. अनि फर्स्ट अफ अल लिभ्सहरू लिम एन्ड देन रोल गरिदिनुहोस्. अब चाहिँ म डायगोनल कट गर्न गइरहेछु. त्यसको लागि आइ एम युजिङ ऱ्याडिस. डायगोनल गर्दा चाहिँ इट्स जस्ट सिम्पल. तपाईले आफ्नो नाइफलाई 45 डिग्रीमा राखेर कट गर्नुहोस्. अनि तपाईले डायगोनल सँगसँगै नै राउन्ड शेप पनि गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ. त्यसको लागि चाहिँ वी हेभ टु omit this, and round shape मा यतिकै. अनियन स्लाइस गर्न गएको छु अब चाहिँ म रोल कट गर्न गइरहेको छु यसको लागि चाहिँ हामीले रोल गर्दै नै कट गर्ने भएर नाम पनि रोल कटै हो या अब्लिक कट पनि भन्न सकिन्छ फर्स्टमा यु हेभ टु हेभ योर नाइफ 45 डिग्री अनि एउटा 45 डिग्रीमा काट्यो देन रोल इट देन अर्को कट रोल कट रोल एन्ड कट आज मैले सिकाएको कट्सहरू अति नै सजिलो छ र अलिकति जाँगर मात्र चाहिने हो अनि यो कट्सहरूले तपाईहरुलाई अलिकति होटलवाला फिल पनि गराउँछ तपाईले रेगुलरली खाइरहेको सलादलाई तपाईले डिफरेन्ट शेप्समा काट्नु भयो भने यु विल फिल डिफरेन्ट नि त लाइक आज अर्कै खायो भोलि अर्कै खायो जस्तो लाग्छ नि त सो आई होप यु विल अल ट्राई दिस कट्स
Alright, so we saw different types of cuts, different types of techniques, and I'm sure it's very useful for you as well. यहाँहरु सबैजनालाई पनि एकदमै useful भयो होला जुन यो basic 8 types of cuttings को जुन देखाउनु भयो उहाँले र I'm sure now your salad is also going to look very fancy and very beautiful. Now again coming back to our guest over here, I wanted to ask you, you know, there's a saying that, you know, all that's standing between you and your dream of becoming a chef is a basket of assorted vegetables. It's, you know, it's how you perform in your skill test that decides whether you're going home or you're going to the kitchen. How true is that?
Yeah. It is, you sure need to know your cuts. But I can, that's why I'm here actually as the master chef, to teach you how to use these cuts or how to make the cuts. And I don't expect anybody who starts in the kitchen that he knows this cut right away from the beginning on. But once somebody is a professional chef, of course, I will tell him, cut me this, cut me that, and I will tell that name. And if he asks me, oh, for example, like, cut me some julienne, and the guy looks at me and says, cut what? Then I will ask him, where did you learn your trade, and who was your boss, or who was your chef, who trained you, and then I know if he knows his trade or not.
But why is it, you know, important, or you know, why was these kind of cuts created? I mean, all these techniques. Was there any specific reason?
Yes, it comes very much from the French cuisine, from the grand old French classical cuisine.
Oh, wow.
We also, I have to say, we're getting a little bit away from this cuts and getting back to the traditional shape. For example, a carrot, I prefer nowadays the little original shape of a carrot, because it's actually a very nice, this long, almost triangle shape. So I prefer it, have it in the original shape, and we got it getting a little bit away from the cuts. But nevertheless, you still need to know your cuts first before you do the other thing, and it comes from the French traditional cuisine.
Okay, so basically, like you said, these cuts are also very important. The skills obviously are very important in the kitchen, but what about the soft skills? What kind of soft skills are required for a chef?
I mentioned that in the beginning of the program. You need to be very flexible, and you need a hard skin. It's to be a chef. It's not everyone is made for a chef.
Yeah, but also, you know, there are a lot of youngsters who think that, you know, being a chef does not mean that you have to get your hands dirty. So what do you have to say to those youngsters? How would you inspire them?
Well, I will recommend them to work somewhere else. Not necessarily need to tell you here where to work, but if you don't want to make your hands dirty, you work somewhere else.
Okay.
So,
I mean, that comes with the entire, it's a package deal. You have
yeah,
to get your hands dirty at times, right?
And I will tell them very quick, I will tell somebody that he's in the wrong profession and that he's wasting his time or her time and my time too. So I have no more patience for youngsters who think
they're just there for fun.
Yeah,
they're not.
No, I have no more patience for guys like this. And I tell them very quick, I say, you are in the wrong profession here. You're in the wrong trade. It doesn't help.
Yeah, definitely.
Unfortunately, there's not many but from time to time I have to advise somebody.
One or two, and I think they learn their lessons also once they're working with you.
Yeah.
And again, if I may go a little personal, I wanted to ask you, you are a vegan. I mean, it's been kind of a year that you've turned into a vegan. So, you know, what is it like and what kind of changes do you find in yourself? And I mean, because I imagine that chefs, they are food lovers. I'm sure before you turned into a vegan, you've had everything, right?
Yeah, vegan is food too.
Yeah, it is food too, definitely, but it does not comprise of everything.
Let me give you the answer there. Admittingly, it would have not possible a few years ago. It would have not possible. It's because I had to work with meat. On the other hand, why I changed to become a vegan? Meat and the dairy products, they have turned out very negative lately over the years. And many people tell me, oh, my grandmother, she became 100 years old and she ate meat every day. Yes, but she did not eat the same meat as we are eating now. Meat is of course, not. The meat industry will not agree with me, but it's unfortunately not the same as it was anymore. So I have, there's 3 points why I turned to a vegan. One is my health. The other one is also the animal rights, so the how they slaughter the animals. I cannot agree on this anymore. And the third one is the environment. And all these 3 points are without the health, they have 20 or 30 years ago, they were not so important, or they were not yet a reason to get worried about. I mean, if we keep on fishing the way how we do, in 50 years we have no more fish in the sea. And if we're going to eat meat with so much hormones pumped in, who knows, maybe one time we grow horns by ourselves. It's just not healthy anymore. And I also became, I am a very active sportsman. And I realized when I go to eat vegetable that that I have much more power than with meat. So this is top of it. I was never a big meat eater, so it was quite easy for me to change.
So
but admittingly, a few years ago, I could not. I could not.
But now you're a vegan, and like you explained, that you have certain reasons to be so as well. And obviously, you are right when you say that the environment is changing, everything is changing, and with that, I think you know, embracing veganism is also a good option if you, for your health and for everything as well. But I'm having this question in my mind that does it not hamper your work, or you know, while you cook food, you have to taste it as well, I'm sure. But I think isko barema kura garnako lagi we should take a short break. We'll keep the audience also guessing, and after the break we will have the answer to this question as well, and to a lot of other questions. So oiliko lagi, let's take a short break and we will be right back. फेरि पनि स्वागत छ यहाँहरुलाई कार्यक्रम के आज घरमैमा र आज I'm here with Chef Heinz. So yes, before the break I asked you a question about how turning into a vegan you know, has affected your career, your work in any way. So what would you like to say about it?
No, it hasn't. I'm still cooking meat. Okay. The vegan is my personal choice. I will not enforce that way of living or that way of eating to somebody else. I will encourage somebody to do it. But I understand people who still like their meat, who still like their fish, and there's also, I don't drink alcohol. That doesn't mean that I don't serve beer or wine to my customers.
Well, when you cook your thing and all that, when you're making the dish, you know, you have to taste it as well, right? Or how does that work now?
Yes, I do, and I do it like with the wine. I spit it out.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's an interesting way as well.
I have to try from time to time, but it's also it feels strange in my mouth after after more than a year now. If I have meat in my mouth, it feels strange. It's like alcohol. It doesn't suit me.
Also, does it also feel different, like in terms of your health or how you feel, or you know, after being a vegan, any kind of changes that you would like to share with us?
Oh yes, I'm much. I feel much healthier, and I have the proof for that. I just did my medical, and since my whole life, I think I never had such a great medical report. All my levels are absolute perfect, which they weren't before. And people ask me, how do you feel? How do I explain somebody that I feel good? I just feel good. It's difficult to explain somebody what is good.
No, we kind of understand that you actually feel good, you look great as well. And yes, we can feel that, you know, there's obviously a kind of happiness, and then you just feel good from inside. You can't just explain it in words. So, all right. So also, I wanted to ask you again about your work experience over the past so many years. You've also served as the GM of hotels. So I wanted to ask you that obviously GMs, they have a lot of responsibility on their shoulders, but what could be some of the major roles that a GM plays in a hotel?
Yeah, that's correct. I was a general manager, actually not in Hong Kong, it was in India. I worked in Bombay at the Novotel. I was a general manager there, and I always wanted to do that in my career, to widen my possibilities to work somewhere, and to but from the beginning on, I knew that I will not stay as a GM, and once I basically have got my certification as a GM, then I went back out of the office again, and I went to do something what I like. As a general manager, you don't have a profession as such. You have to do a little bit of everything. So you're not a specialist. You're not an engineer. You're not a baker. You're not a secretary. You're basically you're everywhere. And top of it was very interesting. There's no department belongs to you.
So there's nothing specific, but then you have to do everything, and you have to be involved in all the departments. And is it like that?
I'm responsible for everything.
You're responsible.
I'm responsible for everything. So, but I can tell you, when I worked as a general manager, my cooks, they always called me chef.
Okay.
I have my tie on, they still call me chef.
All right, so again, that's very interesting as well, you know, looking back at your work span and everything you've done. I think it's a very interesting story, and definitely हामी यसको बारेमा अझै पनि कुराकानी गर्ने नै छौं. Now again, hotel भनेपछि I always, you know, I fascinate about this dining table settings. I feel like they're perfect, they're so beautiful, so elegantly set up. So यसलाई नै घरमा पनि कसरी dining table लाई set up कसरी गर्न सकिन्छ होटलको जस्तै वेमा त्यस्तै स्टाइलमा भन्ने बारेमा हामीसँग अर्को पनि एउटा सानो भिडियो छ. अहिलेको लागि त्यो हेरौं, and we'll be right back.
प्रायः जस्तो हामी घरमा बस्दाखेरि हामी काँटाले वा चम्चाले खाने गर्दछौं. हामी यतिकै कहिलेकाहीँ हातले पनि खाने गर्दछौं. तर आज चाहिँ म तपाईहरुलाई जब कुनै एउटा स्पेशल गेस्ट तपाईको घरमा आउँदै हुनुहुन्छ भने तपाईले रेस्टुरेन्टमा जान नपर्ने गरी तपाईले घरमै एउटा मिल सेटअप गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ. कसरी तपाईले चम्चा र काँटालाई असल तरिकाले यहाँ राखेर तपाईहरु आफ्नो मित्रहरुसँग अनि आफ्नो छिमेकीहरुसँग वा तपाईको स्पेशल गेस्टहरुसँग खान सक्नुहुन्छ. सबैभन्दा पहिला हामीसँग यो टेबल छ, अनि यो टेबललाई चाहिँ हामीले यो सेतो कपडाले हामीले छोपेको छौं. अनि त्यसपछि हामीले यसमा रनर राखेका छौं र यो रातो कलरको छ. अनि त्यसपछि तपाईले यो घरमै भएको एउटा भासलाई सफा गरेर र फूल हालेर यसलाई सजाउन सक्नुहुन्छ. अनि त्यसपछि एउटा क्यान्डल पनि छ. हामी बसेर खाँदाखेरि हामीलाई अझै खुशी फिल होस् भनेर चाहिँ हामीले यो राख्न सक्छौं. अनि अब चाहिँ म तपाईहरुलाई देखाउन गइरहेको छु कि कसरी हामीले काँटा अनि चम्चा हामीले राख्छौं. फर्स्टमा हामी म्याट राख्ने छौं. त्यो चाहिँ अलिकति नजिक हुनुपर्छ तपाईको गेस्टको अगाडि। तपाईले यो राख्नु भयो भने तपाईको चाहिँ यो टेबल क्लोथ चाहिँ फोहोर हुँदैन। अनि त्यसपछि हामी मेन कोर्सको नाइफ र फोर्कलाई सेटअप गर्नेछौँ। र सबैभन्दा पहिला चाहिँ हामीले यो काँटा र यो नाइफ चाहिँ हामी राख्नेछौँ। अनि यो चाहिँ हामी लेफ्ट साइडमा फोर्क राख्छौँ अनि राइट साइडमा नाइफ राख्छौँ। र यो चाहिँ स्टार्टरको नाइफ हो अनि यो चाहिँ मेन कोर्स नाइफको बाहिर हुन्छ र यो चाहिँ यता लेफ्ट साइडमा हुन्छ फोर्क। र अब चाहिँ हामी डेजर्टको स्पुन र नाइफ हामी राख्नेछौँ। सबैभन्दा फर्स्टमा चाहिँ हामी यो डेजर्ट स्पुन जुन तपाईले देखिरहनु भएको छ यो हामी माथि राख्नेछौँ र त्यसपछि फोर्कलाई हामी तल राख्नेछौँ। त्यसपछि हामीलाई ब्रेड एन्ड बटरको पनि हामीलाई खाँचो हुन्छ, त्यसैले हामी एउटा साइड प्लेट लिनेछौँ। यो चाहिँ ब्रेडको लागि हो अनि यो चाहिँ हामी लेफ्ट साइडमा राख्नेछौँ। र यो ब्रेड नाइफ जुन तपाईले देखिरहनु भएको छ यो पनि यो साइडमा हामी राख्नेछौँ। र त्यसपछि अब ग्लासको पालो। सबैभन्दा पहिला तपाईले वाइन ग्लास लिनुस् र तपाईँ यो राख्न पनि सक्नुहुन्छ नराख्न पनि सक्नुहुन्छ, तपाईको चोइस हो। र यो हामी अलि माथि साइडमा राख्नेछौँ। र त्यसपछि पानी त हामी अवश्य नै पिउँछौँ, त्यही भएर पानी पनि हामी यतापट्टि ठ्याक्कै यो नाइफको माथि हामी राख्नेछौँ। र यो मेन प्लेट चाहिँ हामी यो नाइफ यो फोर्क र यिनीहरू सबै सेटअपको ठ्याक्क बिचमा हामी राख्छौँ। लास्टमा हामी यो न्यापकिन यहाँ राइट साइडमा राख्छौँ। यो भयो तपाईको फर्मल डाइनिङ सेटअप। र तपाईले यति गर्न जान्नुभयो भने तपाईले घरमा नै एउटा रेस्टुरेन्टको वा होटलको फिल तपाईले गेस्टहरूलाई दिलाउन सक्नुहुन्छ।
Yes, definitely. What a beautiful presentation, and I'm sure यहाँहरूले पनि धेरै कुरा सिक्नुभयो यो भिडियोबाट। And yes, हाम्रो शोमा पनि there's so much more left for us to discuss on. त्यसको लागि we'll catch you after this break. Once again, welcome back to our show, Ke Aaja Gharmai, and yes, we are in conversation with Chef Heinz. So, I wanted to know about actually your life as well. Like, what is your day like? What is it like? And also, like I asked you also before the show, that since you're in the kitchen all day, you're cooking and you're doing stuffs in the kitchen, once you go back home, do you still have that energy and that interest to go and cook? Or what is it like?
Yes, I cook at home. Yeah.
You do?
Yes,
right.
I cook a lot at home, and more because I'm not such an active chef anymore as I used to be. I'm a teacher, and now I have time to cook something which before in the hotel times when I was the whole day under pressure, I never had time to do some real cooking. And now, since I'm getting older, actually I have time to cook something and do something which I haven't done for 40 years for myself, which I only instructed other people to do it for me. And I cook a lot at home. Yeah.
So now you do it for yourself,
yes,
you enjoy
yes,
it.
Yes, that's correct. It's two different things,
yeah,
to work a professional in the industry or to cook at home.
Okay.
And in fact, I also love to be invited by non-professional chefs in their home, so I can see, I get a lot of inspiration there because they're doing things a little bit different than what we do. So the question is, yes, I do cook.
You do cook,
a lot
all right.
of, and I cook proper food at home. Yeah?
Okay.
There is no canned food. There is no.
So there's a good, healthy, nice food.
Yes, there is no preservative. There is no. I only cook fresh at home. Yeah.
Well, that's really nice to know. And also, I'm sure you've traveled a lot over these 40 years. You've been to a lot of countries. You've seen a lot of things as well. So for now, we have some pictures as well. So we'll look at the pictures also, and we will be having a little discussion on what that is. Okay? And you please help us, find out what those pictures are. All right. So.
And there's a farm there. They do all kind of stuff with pumpkin and pumpkin displays and pumpkin food and pumpkin drinks, and everything is pumpkin.
Okay, so there are like different things that you can make from pumpkin.
Yes,
and all
yes,
that.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So this is also some
Yeah,
art with
it's all
pumpkin?
all done with pumpkin. And to do the seasonal, every season of the year they do another work there.
Wow.
From fresh fruits
They're
to
real, right?
yes, they're real.
Okay.
They're real. Yeah, they're real. They're
So
all
they're like
real.
different varieties? Oh.
Yes, they're all real. All grown in the neighborhood there.
Okay, so
And
it's
it
all...
attracts thousands of people
Yeah,
there.
I know. It's very beautiful as
Yeah.
well, very artistic, very
Yeah.
creative, and definitely a new way to showcase and portray
Yeah, yeah,
pumpkins.
yeah.
So yes, again, talking about your travel, your visits, this is your 6th time here in Nepal.
That's
so,
right.
you know, what brings you here in Nepal this time?
Like anyone else, the mountains, the hiking, the sports, of course, the culture. And I have been hiking quite a few times up to I made Annapurna circuit.
So you do cycling as well, right?
Yes, that was when we went with the bicycle from Kathmandu to Pokhara.
Pokhara,
And that hill was just outside here of Kathmandu, all the way up.
Okay.
And that one is in Pakistan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was.
This is also in Pakistan? So you like cycling and you like the sports, like
Yeah.
you said, you were into sports
Yeah,
also.
yeah. I just recently went to Pakistan, and we went with the bicycle up to 4,500 meters, 4,300
In a
meters.
bicycle?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
oh, okay, so yes, I think your pictures were also really nice. And
Yeah.
I've heard that you also play sitar. You've learned how to play sitar. So, you know, out of so many instruments that we have, you know, how come you got attracted to a sitar?
I play guitar.
You play guitar as well.
And then when I went to India, I said, well, India or the subcontinent here is famous for that instrument.
Yeah.
And I thought that's the best way to learn it in India. And I got the Guruji who came once a week to my home, and he taught me guitar. And of course, another reason why is, well, you know my age, I'm an old hippie.
Okay.
When I was young, there was the time of Woodstock, Ravi Shankar, George
Yeah.
Harrison,
Yeah.
from the Beatles playing sitar, and so I had to follow a little bit. Wanted to experience that
So
too.
do you still know how to play a sitar? Or?
I would say the playing of the sitar was not that difficult, but more difficult is to understand the setup of a song, of an Indian or Nepali song, because you don't have the same build-up of a song like a verse, chorus, and so on in the Western music. So I can play a Western song on the sitar, but I cannot play a Nepali or an Indian song on the sitar.
Yes, I'm sure that'll be really interesting to, you know, find out some other time as well. Now, again, we're almost at the end of the show, but then I wanted to ask you that, you know, as a global citizen, you travel a lot, you go to a lot of places, you've seen the culture, but when you come to Nepal, when you see the hospitality industry, you know, what kind of changes would you recommend for hotels or any kind of thing? Because we are, you know, a country which is highly dependent on tourism as well. So what would you recommend for us?
Let's start with the airport.
Airport,
Yeah,
okay.
That needs a big improvement.
Yeah, and I think we are, you know, moving a little forward in that sector as well. But again, in hospitality, if we have to focus, what would it be?
In the hospitality, what I was always found a little bit strange on the trails, every guest house had basically the same menu.
Yeah, the menu.
Yeah, it was always the same menu, and
Yeah.
I think it was given by the tourist association. So we already knew the menu when we arrived in the next place. We already knew the menu.
Okay.
We not even had to look at the
You
menu
didn't have to
anymore.
look at it. It was there in your head.
Yes,
like, this
and
is it.
I believe that people up there could have cooked some better things, and somebody must have told them, you have to give these trackers this and this food, and they were just doing something which they most probably was not done by, which they would not eat by themselves. So I wanted to see a little bit more local food, and I don't need spaghetti with tomato sauce up in Annapurna track, but that's quite what I got up there. So maybe, and of course the school here, the hotel school there, I'm sure they're doing a good a good job of building that up with the youngsters. Especially when you come to Tamil, you can see that things are improving,
Tamil?
that things, things changing, that things become more creative and more towards international tourists.
But what about the first impression? Like, you know, is it just the airport? The first thing you notice, I'm sure, is the airport. But
what was the first impression? The airport. Well, you know, I travel so much in so many countries. It's difficult to scare me and.
But I'm sure our mountains, they overshadow everything. We have beautiful, majestic mountains, and I think it's worth it, right?
Yes, you have. You know, I'm coming from a country where we have mountains too.
We have that similarity.
Actually, our mountains are very similar, except they're only half the size of yours. Our highest is 4,000, and your highest is 8,000. So, but they're very, very similar mountains, and of course, they are much more majestic here. And I still remember.
Yes, definitely. And yes, I'll have to, you know, cut this really short because we're running out of time. But it was a pleasure having you in our show. So much of interesting stories and so much to learn from you. Thank you so much, Chef Heinz, for being with us.
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you.
All right. So yes, उहाँले भन्नुभयो कि जुन हाम्रो first of all, the airport maybe needs a little bit of change, but that is again, you know, कतिवटा countryमा चाहिँ वहाँ जाँदाखेरि पनि airport चाहिँ that is the first thing he notices, and I'm sure धेरैजनाले नै त्यो कुरा notice पनि गर्नुहुन्छ. र at the same time, जुन food menu को कुरा गर्नुभयो, I think that was also very interesting observation because yes, सबैतिर hotelsहरूमा चाहिँ एउटै किसिमको menu हुन्छ. So I'm sure यो hotelsहरूले पनि बिस्तारै यसमा अलिकति changesहरू ल्याउन सक्छौं उहाँको recommendation अनुसार. र I think यति भन्दै it's time for me to say bye-bye, but we will be back next week on Sunday. So till then, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and yes, stay healthy and happy. Hi everybody, I'm Sagarika.
And this is me, Laurisa. And if you like Ke Aaja Ghar Mai on Kantipur Television HD,
then don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.
Also follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
And don't forget to download our app.
Bye-bye.
Bye.